Welcome to the Madison Motor Podcast Special Edition show. This is my 2023 NFL Draft Preview show. Part 1 will be my top 275 big board with the first round graded players getting comps and team fits. And then we're going to do needs for every team, give out some bets for the draft, and I give out my predictions for every team. All right. Number 1 on my big board is Will Anderson, the edge rusher out of Alabama. My comp for Will Anderson is a tough one, but maybe like a poor man's Khalil Mack. Fits Arizona, Houston, Seattle, Bears if he were to fall that far somehow, Raiders if he were to fall, Eagles if he were to fall, or if the Eagles were to trade up. Number 2 on my big board is Bryce Young, the quarterback Alabama. My comp for Bryce Young is a better version of Kyler Murray. And I mean like a rich man's Kyler Murray with more upside. And best fits Texans, Panthers, Colts, Raiders, if they were to go that route. Or trade up or whatever. Number 3 on my big board is Jalen Carter, defensive tackle out of Georgia. My comp for Jalen Carter is the Ndamukong Suh. And in terms of fits, Seahawks, Falcons, Bears, Raiders. Number 4, I have C.J. Stroud, the quarterback out of Ohio State. Stroud, that was a tough one to find a comp for. I would have to go with somebody that comes from like a big school and would get people excited. Would be Justin Fields. Maybe it's because they went to the same school. I guess that's where the comp really comes from. And best fits, Colts, Texans, pretty much everyone I listed, Seattle, Tennessee, Raiders if he were to fall that far, or they would trade up. Number 5 on my big board is Tyree Wilson, the edge rusher from Texas Tech. Tyree Wilson, there's a couple of interesting comps. One that stands out is former Giants defensive end Jason Pierre-Paul. And in terms of fits, Cardinals, Texans, Seahawks, Raiders, Falcons. I don't see him falling to the Bears at 9. That would be wild. Number 6, I have Devin Witherspoon, the cornerback out of Illinois. Fits for Devin Witherspoon. The Lions, the Seahawks, the Falcons, the Bears, Patriots. I don't know if the Texans are willing to go there. That'd be weird. The Eagles are a fit. The Titans, if they want to go that route. In terms of a comp for Devon Witherspoon, maybe Levi Wallace would be an interesting one. Number 7, I have Christian Gonzalez, the cornerback out of Oregon. That would be an interesting if he were to get drafted high. People are talking about him going to Seattle at 5. Detroit's a good fit at 6. Raiders at 7. Falcons at 8. Bears at 9. The Eagles at 10. Titans 11. New England 14. Packers, Texans. My comp for him, I'm going to say Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie, the former Jet and Giant corner. Number 8 on my big board is Peter Skoronski, the lineman out of Northwestern. Fits. I would love to see him on the Bears. I think the Raiders fit. Obviously, the Jets with Rodgers, Green Bay. I saw a mock had him all the way at 17 to the Steelers. That would be an interesting fit. Washington, Eagles. Comp, because of his versatility and such, I think Zach Martin is a really interesting comparison for Peter Skoronski. If that turns out to be true, then that's a home run. Number 9, I have Paris Johnson, the tackle from Ohio State. Fits for Paris Johnson, Atlanta, Raiders, Titans, Eagles, Bears, Texans, Packers, Jets, Pats, Washington, Steelers. In terms of a comp for Paris Johnson, there's a couple that I have in mind. Maybe Tristan Wirfs of the Bucks would be an interesting comparison. Some are saying Brian O'Neill. Number 10 on my big board is Jackson Smith and Jigba, the wideout from Ohio State. There's a lot of good fits for him. I think the best fit is the Packers with Jordan Love. Texans, obviously, a great fit with whoever their quarterback is. If he were to fall to the Giants or the Ravens or one of those teams would trade up for him, or Minnesota, the Chargers, a lot of these teams in like the 20s can use wide receivers. Even the Jaguars, I think, are a sleeping giant to take a receiver. I don't see Pittsburgh taking one. Obviously, the Patriots want him. There's a lot of interesting fits for Smith and Jigba. In terms of a comp, I think is a poor man's Jamar Chase. The reason why I say that is because obviously Chase obviously sat the year and then got drafted, and Jigba pretty much did the same thing. Jarvis Landry's NFL Network's comp, which I think he'll be better than Jarvis Landry. 11 on my big board, I have Bijan Robinson, the running back out of Texas. This guy is going to be a stud, I think. A lot of interesting fits. The Eagles. People are throwing the Falcons out there for them to take him 8th overall. That'd be stunning. I think the Falcons, I think that's out there so the Eagles can panic and take him at 10. Even the Texans at 12, the Lions, I love the Lions fit for him. Chargers. If the Saquon Barkley situation gets south, maybe the Giants are like a dark horse. Dallas is an interesting one to replace Zeke. So there's a couple. The Ravens obviously can use him. The Bengals. In terms of a comp for Bijan, maybe like a poor man's AP. I think this guy's going to be amazing. I really do. And they have his comp at Josh Jacobs, which isn't bad. I think that sounds about right. Poor man's AP as the ceiling, and then Jacobs, I like that one. Number 12 on my big board, I have Michael Mayer, the tight end out of Notre Dame. A lot of interesting fit teams. Green Bay, Patriots. If they want to get another weapon for Rodgers, the Jets. I think that the Commanders are a sleeper to take him. The Chargers and the Cowboys, obviously. Jacksonville, I think, is a long shot potentially to take him. Cincinnati would be an interesting fit. Would Buffalo take him and put him with Dawson Knox? That would be really interesting. In terms of a comp for Michael Mayer, I've heard some comps to Gronk and Kelsey, but I think those are like wishful thinking comps. Maybe somebody that's a little bit beneath that as a tight end, someone like beneath that level. And I could see it being like Jason Witten. And that's who they compared him to too. That's really funny. I thought of him. So that makes sense to why Jerry Jones could be so enamored with him. Number 13 on my big board is Anthony Richardson, the quarterback out of Florida. My comp is a poor man's Lamar Jackson. Fits teams that could use boom or bust, like the Raiders, the Titans, Washington, even if it's like a self dark horse. The Lions, self dark horse. Maybe Indy's a fit. Seattle's an absolute fit. I would love him on Seattle. That would be the most fun one for me. Number 14, Broderick Jones, offensive tackle, Georgia. Fits, obviously, the Jets, the Packers, the Pats, the Steelers, the Bucks. There's a couple that stick out to me for fits for Broderick. They have him comped to Andrew Thomas. I think that's a little bit rich considering how good Andrew Thomas has been the last couple of years for the Giants. But I'd say maybe a poor man's Andrew Thomas. Next up on the big board is Quentin Johnson, wide receiver, TCU at 15. I have him. Team fits. Obviously, the Vikings, the Ravens, the Giants, the Jags even, the Chargers. Maybe Dallas is like a sleeper. Washington, maybe. There could be sleepers out there for Quentin Johnson. And a comp for him, I want to compare him to a former Raven. Does anybody remember Anquan Boldin? That's who he kind of reminds me of in a weird way. He reminds me of Anquan Boldin. So that's who I'm going to make my comp for him to. Next is 16, Jordan Addison out of SC. Fits. I would just love him on the Giants. Maybe it's me, the Giant fan to me, coming straightforward here. Chargers would be a good fit. Seattle, Minnesota, Buffalo. There's a couple that jump out to me for Jordan Addison. Maybe Washington, maybe the Packers. But a comp for Addison, it's interesting. There's a couple that I can think of for Jordan Addison. Jordan Lockett's a popular one. Tyler Lockett. I agree with that one. That's actually a good one for him. 17, Zay Flowers, wide receiver, BC. Oh, I would love him on the Chargers, the Giants, Minnesota. Imagine him on Minnesota with Jefferson, Buffalo, Cincy, Washington, New England, Green Bay are all fits. Zay Flowers' comp is interesting. Very fast player. The comp on here is Travis Benjamin. I think he could be better than that. I think he's going to be better than Travis Benjamin. I would say poor man's Tyreek Hill potentially for Zay because of his speed. Not as good, but like a poor man's version. 18, I have Myles Murphy, the edge rusher from Clemson. In terms of fits for Myles Murphy, Atlanta, Seattle, New England, Green Bay, Steelers maybe as a sleeper. There's a couple I can think of for him. Jacksonville if he drops. Raiders. Eagles. And a comp for Myles Murphy, NFL Network has Antoine Odom, which is interesting. I could see this. I know this is cheating because he also is from Clemson. But, maybe, I'm sorry, he didn't go to Clemson. He went to Florida State. Maybe like a poor man's Brian Burns from the Panthers. Number 19, I have Brian Branch, the safety out of Alabama. My comp for him is current Giants safety Xavier McKinney. Fits. Ironically, I think the Giants are a sleeper for Brian Branch. I like the Bucs for him. I like the Packers. A sleeper maybe in the Jets. I could see maybe Philly taking him at 10. Maybe the Lions take him. Dallas, maybe. The Bengals, there's a couple that stick out for me for Brian Branch. I like him a lot. Number 20, I have Will Levis, the quarterback out of Kentucky. My comp for him is Daniel Jones, maybe a little bit. Go worse for Daniel Jones. I'm talking about the Daniel Jones we saw this past season with the Giants, not the Daniel Jones we saw before Brian Daboll showed up. So a little bit of a poor man's version of Daniel Jones. And then Fitz has to be teams that have to take chances like Tennessee, Houston, maybe Seattle, maybe a sleeper in the Bucs. I like him a lot on the Bucs as like a possible fit. Number 21, I have Joey Porter, the cornerback out of Penn State. Fits. I love the idea of him on Pittsburgh, considering his dad was a Steeler. Washington's an obvious fit. New England, Green Bay, Philly, maybe the Giants if he falls, the Jags, Minnesota, Baltimore. A lot of teams stand out for me for Joey Porter. And in terms of a comp, NFL Network has Amani Arue. This would be an interesting comp, but maybe like a poor man's Trey White from the Bills. Number 22, I have Jalen Hyatt, the wide receiver out of Tennessee. The fit's pretty much the same teams in the 20s I mentioned earlier. Minnesota Giants, Chargers, Ravens, and then even the teams within the Packers. Then the Chiefs are obviously a fit. Maybe the Bengals or the Bills take a chance with him. And then Hyatt, obviously coming off the career year. In terms of a comp, NFL Network has Deshaun Jackson. I'd say a poor man's version of Deshaun. 23 of Darnell Wright, the tackle from Tennessee, also coming off an awesome year. Fits, Green Bay, New England, Jets, Washington, Pittsburgh, maybe Jacksonville if he drops. There's a couple that stand out. Maybe some sleepers in Baltimore and Minnesota. In terms of a comp, he kind of reminds me of the guy the Browns took, Wills, from a few years ago. And then his comp is DJ Fluker, which is an interesting one. Yeah, Cedric Wills, the tackle that went a few years ago to the Browns. 24, I have Deonte Banks, the cornerback out of Maryland. It'd be appropriate if he went to the Ravens, right? Or Washington. Those two are fits. Pittsburgh's a fit. Jags are a fit. Giants are a fit. Cowboys, Bengals, Bills. A lot of these teams could use somebody like Banks. And in terms of a compo, the Lions are a fit. The Bucs. So, a good comp for Banks, I could see kind of like a Dory Jackson light, maybe. Number 25, I have Nolan Smith, the edge rusher out of Georgia. A lot of interesting fits. Falcons, Eagles, Bears, Raiders, Patriots if they were to go that route, Green Bay, maybe the Jets, maybe Minnesota. The Commanders, they just declined Chase Young's fifth-year option. So that could be a sleeper. Tennessee could be a sleeper. And in terms of a comp for Nolan Smith, there's a couple that some would like. And Seattle's obviously a fit too. They have Samson Ebukam as the comp. I don't know if I like that one for Nolan Smith. I would say maybe somebody like Yannick Ngakoue, make a poor man's version of him, which would be interesting. Number 26, Kalijah Kancey, defensive tackle from Pitt. A lot of people like him. In terms of team fits, definitely the Chiefs, the Eagles, the Saints. There could be some sleepers, maybe the Lions, maybe the Bucs, maybe Green Bay. In terms of a comp for Kancey, there's some interesting ones that jump out. NFL Network has John Randall, which I don't know if I like that one for him. In terms of a current player, kind of think Ed Oliver is a decent comparison. It'd be funny if he was drafted by the Bills. That'd be another interesting fit for him. Number 27, Kelee Ringo, cornerback, Georgia. Really decent player in my opinion. Team fits. I think the Giants would be a good fit. Minnesota, Ravens, Bills, Bengals, Chiefs, Eagles, Washington, Steelers, Cowboys, Jacksonville. And in terms of a comparison, there's a couple you could talk yourselves into for Kelee Ringo. And the one that NFL Network has is Jimmy Smith, which I like that one. That's a good one for him. And my last player I have rated as a first-round grade is Dalton Kincaid, the tight end out of Utah. So that's 28 players I have at first-round grades this year. Kincaid, fits Green Bay, Cincinnati, Dallas, Chargers, Jaguars as a sleeper, maybe Washington as a sleeper. I've seen some had a mock to the Chiefs, which would be interesting. But I don't see that at all. Maybe the Saints, maybe a team we're not thinking of that's not even drafting in the first round, like somebody that could trade up. Like the Rams or somebody like that. That'd be weird. But in terms of a comp for Kincaid, Dolphins tight end Mike Gesicki would be my comp for him. They have a Zach Ertz, which is a decent one as well. Maybe a little bit richer of a comp than mine of the Dolphins tight end. So it's going to be interesting with all these players and where they're picked and whatnot. All right, second round graded players. 29, Will McDonald, the edge rusher out of Iowa State. 30, Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback, Mississippi State. 31, Osiris Torrance, guard, Florida. 32, Brian Bresee, defensive tackle, Clemson. 33, Lucas Van Ness, edge rusher, Iowa. 34, Cam Smith, cornerback, South Carolina. 35, Antoine Harrison, offensive tackle, Oklahoma. 36, Darnell Washington, tight end, Georgia. I had that wrong. I had Washington in my head because his last name is Washington. 37, Keon White, defensive lineman, Georgia Tech. 38, Drew Sanders, linebacker, Arkansas. 39, BJ Ojulari, edge, LSU. 40, Mozzie Smith, defensive tackle, Michigan. 41, John Michael Schmitz, center, Minnesota. 42, Felix Nduke Uzmoa, edge, Kansas State. 43, Hendon Hooker, quarterback, Tennessee. 44, Jack Campbell, linebacker, Iowa. 45, Joe Tippmann, center, Wisconsin. 46, DeJuan Jones, offensive tackle, Ohio State. 47, Noah Sewell, linebacker, Oregon. 48, Jahmyr Gibbs, running back, Alabama. 49, Josh Downs, wide receiver, North Carolina. 50, DJ Turner, cornerback, Michigan. 51, Luke Musgrave, tight end, Oregon State. 52, Matt Bergeron, offensive tackle, Syracuse. 53, Steve Avila, guard, TCU. 54, Trenton Simpson, linebacker, Clemson. 55, Cedric Williams, wide receiver, Tennessee. 56, Tyler Steen, offensive tackle, Alabama. 57, Sam Laporta, tight end, Iowa. 58, Adetomiwa Adebawore, defensive tackle, Northwestern. 59, Julius Brents, cornerback, Kansas State. 60, Isaiah Foskey, edge, Notre Dame. 61, Cody Mauch, guard, North Dakota State. 62, Antonio Johnson, safety, Texas A&M. 63, Jonathan Mingo, wide receiver, Ole Miss. 64, Gervon Dexter, defensive tackle, Florida. 65, Zach Charbonnet, running back, UCLA. And third round players with third round grades. 66, Jordan Battle, safety, Alabama. 67, Byron Young, edge, Tennessee. 68, Keanu Benton, defensive tackle, Wisconsin. 69, Anthony Bradford, guard, LSU. 78, Henry To'oto, linebacker, Alabama. That's a funny name. 71, Tyreek Stevenson, cornerback, Miami. 72, Sidney Brown, safety, Illinois. 73, Marvin Mims Jr., wide receiver, Oklahoma. 74, Derek Hall, edge, Auburn. 75, Tucker Kraft, tight end, South Dakota State. 76, Kendre Miller, running back, TCU. 77, Rashee Rice, wide receiver, SMU. 78, Zach Evans, running back, Ole Miss. 79, Zach Harrison, edge, Ohio State. 80, Aiden O'Connell, quarterback, Purdue. 81, Owen Pappoe, linebacker, Auburn. 82, Luke Schoonmaker, tight end, Michigan. 83, Parker Washington, wide receiver, Penn State. 84, Jalen Duncan, offensive tackle, Maryland. 85, Byron Young, defensive tackle, Alabama. 86, Tyjae Spears, running back, Tulane. 87, Dion Henley, linebacker, Wazoo. 88, Jair Brown, safety, Penn State. 89, J.L. Skinner, III, safety, Boise State. 90, Nathaniel Tank Dell, wide receiver, Houston. 91, Darius Rush, cornerback, South Carolina. 92, Luke Weipler, corner, Ohio State. 93, Jacqueline Roy, defensive tackle, LSU. 94, Chase Brown, running back, Illinois. 95, Kayshon Boutte, wide receiver, LSU. 96, Zach Kuntz, tight end, Old Dominion. 97, Israel Abakanda, running back, Pittsburgh. 98, Jacorian Bennett, cornerback, Maryland. 99, Sayaki Ika, defensive tackle, Baylor. 100, Daniel Scott, safety, Cal. And my players picked in the my 4th round graded players. 101, Devon Akane, running back, Texas A&M. 102, Jamie Robinson, safety, Florida State. 103, Jaden Reed, wide receiver, Michigan State. 104, Nick Herbig, linebacker, Wisconsin. 105, Jartavius Martin, cornerback, Illinois. 106, Brenton Strange, tight end, Penn State. 107, Clark Phillips III, cornerback, Utah. 108, Wanda Morris, offensive tackle, Oklahoma. 109, Tuli Tuipulotu, edge, USC. 110, Blake Freeland, offensive tackle, BYU. 111, KJ Henry, edge, Clemson. 112, Mekhi Blackman, cornerback, USC. 113, Tanner McKee, quarterback, Stanford. 114, Kayvon Merriweather, safety, Iowa. 115, Roshan Johnson, running back, Texas. 116, Dorian Williams, linebacker, Tulane. 117, McClendon Curtis, guard, Chattanooga. A.T. Terry, wide receiver, Wake Forest. 118, 119, Ronnie Hickman Jr., safety, Ohio State. 120, Riley Moss, cornerback, Iowa. 121, Jalon Jones, cornerback, Texas A&M. 122, Garrett Williams, cornerback, Syracuse. 123, Isaiah McGuire, defensive tackle, Missouri. 124, DeMarvion Overshawn, linebacker, Texas. 125, Brandon Hill, safety, Pitt. 126, Davis Allen, tight end, Clemson. 127, Warren McClendon, offensive tackle, Georgia. 128, Keitrell Clark, cornerback, Louisville. 129, Richard Guargi, offensive tackle, Florida. 130, Kaibu Kelly, cornerback, Stanford. 131, Josh Wiley, tight end, Cincinnati. 132, Andrew Voorhees, guard, USC. 133, Xavier Valade, running back, Arizona State. 134, City So, guard, Eastern Michigan. 135, John Ojukwu, offensive tackle, Boise State. 136, Christopher Smith, safety, Georgia. 137, Payne Durham, tight end, Purdue. 138, Eric Gray, running back, Oklahoma. And now my round 5 graded players. 139, B.J. Thompson, edge, Stephen F. Austin. 140, Moro Ojomo, defensive tackle, Texas. 141, Tank Bigsby, running back, Auburn. 142, Tyler Scott, wide receiver, Cincinnati. 143, Jared Patterson, center, Notre Dame. 144, Jake Haener, quarterback, Fresno State. 145, Henry Bainavalu, guard, Washington. 146, Dorian Thompson Robinson, quarterback, UCLA. 147, Braden Daniels, guard, Utah. 148, Starling Thomas V, cornerback, UAB. 149, DJ Johnson, edge, Oregon. 150, Falami Foko Jr., edge, San Jose State. 151, Demario Douglas, wide receiver, Liberty. 152, Yaya Diaby, edge, Louisville. 153, Keandre Corbin, defensive tackle, Texas. 154, Dante Stills, defensive tackle, West Virginia. 155, Anferni Audrey, linebacker, Vanderbilt. 156, Broderick Martin, defensive tackle, Louisiana Tech. 157, Andre Iosvis, wide receiver, Princeton. 158, Jordan McFadden, guard, Clemson. 159, Xavier Hutchinson, wide receiver, Iowa State. 160, Corey Trice Jr., cornerback, Purdue. 161, Will Mallory, tight end, Miami. 162, Brandon Joseph, safety, Notre Dame. 163, Carrington Valentine, cornerback, Kentucky. 164, Asim Richards, offensive tackle, North Carolina. 165, Dylan Horton, edge, TCU. 166, Quinville Johnson, safety, Memphis. 167, Shamari Connor, safety, Virginia Tech. 168, Chris Rodriguez Jr., running back, Kentucky. 169, Jaron Hall, quarterback, BYU. 170, Clayton Tune, quarterback, Houston. 171, Carl Brooks, defensive tackle, Bowling Green. 172, Jared Clark, defensive tackle, close to Carolina. 173, Colby Woolen, edge, Auburn. 174, Nick Broker, guard, Ole Miss. 175, Kobe Turner, defensive tackle, Wake Forest. 176, Chris Murray, guard, Oklahoma. 177, Jalen Redmond, defensive tackle, Oklahoma. 178, Spencer Anderson, offensive tackle, Maryland. 179, Nick Saldivari, guard, Old Dominion. 180, Michael Wilson, wide receiver, Stanford. 181, Dwayne McBride, running back, UAB. 182, Servatia Dennis, linebacker, Pitt. 183, Cameron Latu, tight end, Alabama. 184, Trey Palmer, wide receiver, Nebraska. 185, Chandler Zavala, guard, NC State. 186, Matt Landers, wide receiver, Arkansas. 187, Yvonne Pace Jr., linebacker, Cincinnati. 188, Trevius Hodges Tomlinson, cornerback, TCU. 189, Cam Young, defensive tackle, Mississippi State. 190, Cam Jones, linebacker, Indiana. 191, Mitchell Tinsley, wide receiver, Penn State. 192, Nick Hampton, edge, App State. 193, Antoine Green, wide receiver, North Carolina. 194, Marty Mapu, defensive back, Sacramento State. And now my 6th round graded players. 195, Charlie Jones, wide receiver, Purdue. 196, Bryce Ford Wheaton, wide receiver, West Virginia. 197, Carter Warren, offensive tackle, Pitt. 198, Raheem Jarrett, wide receiver, Maryland. 199, Robbie Beal, edge, Georgia. 200, Emil Akayor Jr., guard, Alabama. 201, Jeremiah Martin, edge, Washington. 202, Puka Nacua, wide receiver, BYU. 203, Colby Sorsdahl, guard, William & Mary. 204, Jordan Howden, safety, Minnesota. 205, Zach Pickens, defensive tackle, South Carolina. 206, Cameron Mitchell, cornerback, Northwestern. 207, Stetson Bennett, quarterback, Georgia. 208, Evan Hull, running back, Northwestern. 209, Braden Willis, tight end, Oklahoma. 210, Tyon Evans, running back, Louisville. 211, Javarius Owens, safety, Houston. 212, Miles Brooks, cornerback, Louisiana Tech. 213, Michael Ezeki, tight end, UCLA. 214, Andrew Brooks, guard, USC. 215, Muhammad Ibrahim, running back, Minnesota. 216, Andre Carter II, edge, Army. 217, Deuce Vaughn, running back, Kansas State. 218, Hunter Luke, fullback, North Dakota State. 219, Juice Scruggs, center, Penn State. 220, John Gaines II, guard, UCLA. 221, Ali Gay, edge, LSU. 222, Ricky Stromberg, center, Arkansas. 223, Elijah Higgins, tight end, Stanford. 224, Terrell Smith, cornerback, Minnesota. 225, Jay Ward, safety, LSU. 226, Jackson Kirkland, guard, Washington. 227, Kenny McIntosh, running back, Georgia. 228, Eric Scott, cornerback, Southern Miss. 229, Calvin Avery, defensive tackle, Illinois. 230, Nesta Jade Silvera, defensive tackle, Arizona State. 231, Anthony Johnson, junior, safety, Iowa State. 232, Muhammad Dabadi, linebacker, Utah. And my 7th round graded players. 233, Max Duggan, quarterback, TCU. 234, Trey Dean III, safety, Florida. 235, Benny Sapp III, safety, Northern Iowa. 236, Isaiah Land, edge, Florida A&M. 237, Thomas Incoom, edge, Central Michigan. 238, Deneric Prince, running back, Tulsa. 239, Trey Tucker, wide receiver, Cincinnati. 240, Sean Clifton, quarterback, Penn State. 241, Ryan Hayes, offensive tackle, Michigan. 242, Preston Frant, tight end, Tennessee. 243, Jason Taylor II, safety, Oklahoma State. 244, Oluskin Olawatimi, center, Michigan. 245, Earl Bostic Jr., offensive tackle, Kansas. 246, Grant DeBoose, wide receiver, Charlotte. 247, Ronnie Bell, wide receiver, Michigan. 248, Tyler Dacey, defensive tackle, Oklahoma State. 249, Derek Parrish, fullback, Houston. 250, Keaton Mitchell, running back, East Carolina. 251, Tavion Wicks, wide receiver, Virginia. 252, Jarek Bernard Converse, corner, LSU. 253, Antonio Mafi, guard, UCLA. 254, Caleb Hayes, cornerback, BYU. 255, Chad Ryland, kicker, Maryland. 256, Ben Van Sumeren, linebacker, Michigan State. 257, Yasir Abdullah, linebacker, Louisville. 258, Aubrey Miller Jr., linebacker, Jackson State. 239, Jalen Moreno Cropper, wide receiver, Fresno State. 260, D. Winters, linebacker, TCU. 261, Jake Andrews, center, Troy. 262, Charlie Thomas, linebacker, Georgia Tech. And my undrafted players. Grades. 263, Xavier Gipson, wide receiver. Stephen F. Austin, 264. Andre Jones, edge, Louisiana. 265, Scott Matlock, defensive tackle. Boise State, 266. P.J. Mustipher, defensive tackle, Penn State. 267, Lonnie Phelps, linebacker, Kansas. 268, Darrell Lutter Jr., cornerback, South Alabama. 269, Zachary Barnes, linebacker, Western Michigan. 270, Nick Jones, cornerback, Ball State. 271, Tyson Bagan, quarterback, Shepherd. 272, Jake Witt, offensive tackle, North Michigan. 273, Patrick O'Connell, linebacker, Montana. 274, David Durden, wide receiver, West Florida. And 275, Michael Turk, punter, Oklahoma. Next up, I'm going to go over team needs for every team as we head into the draft. All right, the Arizona Cardinals, wide receiver, interior offensive line, defensive tackle, edge rush, cornerback. Atlanta, wide receiver, offensive tackle, center, edge, defensive tackle, linebacker, cornerback. Baltimore, wide receiver, offensive tackle, edge, linebacker, cornerback. Buffalo, running back, wide receiver, offensive tackle, linebacker, cornerback. Carolina, quarterback, wide receiver, guard, linebacker, safety. Chicago, running back, offensive tackle, edge, defensive tackle, cornerback. Cincinnati, running back, tight end, offensive tackle, guard, edge, linebacker, cornerback, safety. Cleveland, defensive tackle, linebacker, cornerback. Dallas, running back, tight end, offensive tackle, defensive tackle, safety. Denver, tight end, guard, edge, safety. Detroit, tight end, defensive end, defensive tackle, linebacker, cornerback, safety. Green Bay, wide receiver, tight end, offensive tackle, guard, defensive tackle, safety. Houston, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, offensive tackle, edge rush. Indianapolis, quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, guard, edge, defensive tackle, cornerback, safety. Jacksonville, offensive tackle, guard, defensive tackle, edge, linebacker, cornerback, safety. KC, wide receiver, offensive tackle, edge, linebacker, cornerback. Raiders, tight end, offensive tackle, interior offensive line, defensive tackle, edge, linebacker, cornerback, safety. Chargers, running back with an asterisk because of the Austin Eckler situation. Wide receiver, tight end, guard, safety, cornerback. Rams, running back, wide receiver, tight end, offensive tackle, guard, edge, linebacker, cornerback, safety. Miami, running back, tight end, offensive tackle, guard, linebacker. Minnesota, running back with an asterisk because of the Dalvin Cook situation. Wide receiver, offensive tackle, defensive tackle, edge, linebacker, cornerback. New England, running back, wide receiver, offensive tackle, edge, linebacker, cornerback. Saints, running back with an asterisk because of the Alvin Kamara situation. Wide receiver, offensive tackle, defensive tackle, edge, linebacker, cornerback. The Giants, running back with an asterisk because of the Saquon Barkley situation with the contract. Wide receiver, interior offensive line, defensive tackle, linebacker, cornerback, safety. And the reason why some of these teams have the positions with asterisks near them, it's not a major need, but it could be a need depending on the situations. All right, so Jets, wide receiver, tight end, offensive tackle, interior, offensive line, edge, safety. Philadelphia, running back, offensive tackle, interior offensive line, defensive tackle, edge, corner. Pittsburgh, wide receiver, offensive tackle, center, linebacker, cornerback. San Francisco, wide receiver, offensive tackle, center, cornerback, safety. Seattle, quarterback with an asterisk, wide receiver, tight end, interior offensive line, defensive tackle, edge, linebacker, cornerback. Tennessee, quarterback, running back, tight end, offensive tackle, guard, edge, linebacker, cornerback. So that's Tampa. And then Tennessee, quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, offensive tackle, interior, offensive line, edge, linebacker, quarterback. And Washington, offensive tackle, edge, linebacker, cornerback, and safety. And edge could be with an asterisk too because of what could happen in the Chase Young situation. That concludes part 1 of my 2023 NFL Draft Preview and Predictions show. Part 2 will be some betting stuff and my bold predictions for every team.